Hello everyone. Welcome to Confessions Jury, where people put themselves on the spot, waiting for your judgment. Sit comfortably and listen carefully, as you're about to hear today's cases. You hold the hammer and you apply the law. Let us have your verdict down in the comments section. As always, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Let's head on to our first case. Case 1. Am I the bad person for telling my daughter I know what's best for my granddaughter? I, 55F, have been raising my daughter Sarah's, 34F, child for the past 16 years. Emma, 16F, is an amazing young woman who has made me incredibly proud. For some background info, Sarah got pregnant at the beginning of her freshman year of college at age 18. She decided to keep the baby. She was still living at home, so of course I helped her. My daughter wasn't really a present mother. She, despite my urging her to take time off, went back to school a week after giving birth and went back to work a week after that. She pumped so I could bottle and formula feed Emma immediately after birth. Sarah wouldn't get up in the night to take care of Emma because she needed her sleep, so I did all the night feedings and changings. Emma was left home with me while Sarah went to school and work and attended everything I needed to attend. Sarah would come home and care for Emma for an hour or two, then go to bed. When Emma was 2, Sarah and her boyfriend got a small apartment closer to campus, and I assumed that my time raising Emma was over. Sarah was putting Emma in daycare for about 3 weeks before she asked to just leave Emma with me during the weekdays and take her on the weekends. So until Emma was 6, she spent Monday through Thursday with me and spent the weekends with Sarah and her dad, who was in and out of the picture. When Emma was 6, Sarah moved back into my house and took a slightly more present role, but it was obvious she didn't know what she was doing. She didn't care to follow the routine Emma and I had set years before and couldn't understand why Emma was struggling. She knew very little about Emma's likes and dislikes and didn't have much knowledge about raising children to begin with. Within a few months, she stopped making nearly as much of an effort, and I took back over as the main caretaker of Emma. When Emma was 8, Sarah moved back out with a new boyfriend, this time leaving Emma with me entirely and only coming to get her on the weekends. She took a job that worked weekends and nights, and for 5 years Emma lived with me full-time, only spending nights with her mom in the form of sleepovers and an occasional weekend. When Emma was 13, my daughter got a job with a 9-to-5 schedule and started picking her up after sports and activities to spend the evening and having Emma come over on weekends. A year ago, my daughter moved into a house that is in the neighborhood of a very prestigious private school for girls. Emma is now 16 and has gone to the same school since kindergarten and has just started her junior year. Last week, during a family dinner at my house, my daughter announced to the family, myself, Emma, Sarah, my 3 sons, my DILS, my other grandkids, that she was so grateful for the help I've given her with Emma, but since she was doing so good, it was time to take her back. Emma would be going to live with her full time, she'd be enrolling her in the private school, and it was all possible thanks to me. I asked if I could speak to her privately, and she said no. So at the table, I told her that that wasn't a good idea and that it wasn't going to be good for Emma. She loved her whole life with me. Taking her away would be damaging. Sarah said that I had no right to tell her what's best for Emma since she's her mother. I told her that being a mother doesn't mean she raised her daughter and that I know what's best for Emma. Sarah left in a huff and told me she'd come back to discuss the details, but then called me later yelling at me for undermining her parenting, saying I had no right to say that and that I was stepping on her toes. After my daughter left, my sons told me that while I was in the right, I should have been more sensitive to Sarah. I really don't think she deserved any more sensitivity. Sarah chose a career over raising her daughter. Nobody pushed her to keep a baby, and nobody pushed her to pursue her career. And even when school and work permitted, she continued to put very little effort into Emma. My daughter never actually tried to bond with Emma as a parent should. She never took an interest in her life beyond her allergies and soccer schedule. They don't talk despite Emma spending years trying to connect with her. She can't answer any basic questions about Emma and treats her like a small child rather than the young adult she is. I did all of the child rearing. I raised her as my own baby. She grew up in my home just like my own children did years before her. She's had constant stability with me, and it's unfair for her mother to come in 16 years too late and decide she knows best. Decide to remove her from the home she's lived in since birth, away from the school and friends she's had since kindergarten, remove her from the person who raised her. My daughter is extremely mad at me and is accusing me of turning her daughter against her because Emma refuses to go with her. Am I the bad person? What do you guys think? Lay down your ruling in the comments section and let's move on to our next story. Case 2. Am I the bad person for not supporting my wife's decision to punish our son and letting him go to a party that will be tonight? I, 45M, share a daughter, 17F, and son, 15M, with my wife, 41F. My wife's best friend, 40F, has two daughters, 18F and 15F. My wife's best friend moved to our town about 6 years. My wife and her best friend have been not so subtly pulling for the two 15-year-olds to end up together. I find this weird and low-key creepy. About 2 years ago, wife's BF's youngest daughter appeared to have developed a crush on our son. My son talked to me about it and he had zero interest. So, we discussed how to tactfully but firmly let her down. She has approached him again a number of times over the last couple of years and he has reaffirmed his lack of interest. This past summer, my wife's BF's oldest daughter turned 18. Her parents went all out for her birthday. It was a whole weekend of festivities and events. One of the events was a couple's dinner for the oldest daughter and all her friends and couples. The younger daughter of wife's BF wanted to go to the dinner but did not have anyone to go with. She asked my son, and he agreed to go, but only as friends and just this one time. So, they went together. After the dinner, the couples all watched 10 Things I Hate About You together. It was my son's first time seeing it and he commented that he thought the Heath Ledger singing scene was cool. This is important later. My business partner, 44M, every year, for the last 5 years, throws a huge Halloween party. All our employees are invited along with close friends and family. The party requires a costume. And at this party, there are prizes for best individual costume, group costume, and couples costume. My wife's BF and her family are obviously invited every year. This year, the Halloween party is tonight, October 26th. So, let me get to the reason I am here. About a month ago, my son is at school, and comes towards him is my wife's BF's younger daughter with a whole song and dance routine. She ends it by asking him to be her date for the Halloween party. My son was so frustrated and reiterated, for everyone to hear, that he is not interested in her like that at all. Of course, it being high school, some kids laughed and she ran off crying. She has been bullied pretty badly because of it. My wife's BF is livid and thinks our son owes her daughter an apology. My wife agrees and thinks, at a minimum, he needs to defend her against the bullying. My son has said that for 2 years he has told her he is not interested and reiterated it over and over. At this point, he thinks it's kind of harassing to him and it is not his role to defend her harassment of him. I agree with my son. My wife and I have had a number of disagreements about it since it happened. Well, things have intensified in the last couple of weeks or so because another girl, who wife's BF's daughter apparently does not like, asked our son to be her date for the party and he agreed. They are doing a pretty dope couple's costume. This has really pissed off my wife because she thinks he should, at least, not go to the party with another girl out of respect. I think that is ridiculous. I plan on driving them to the party with me. My wife now does not want to go to the party and is saying I am an AH and raising our son to be one. So, AITA? What do you guys think of this one? Let us know in the comments section and let's move on to our next story. Case 3. Am I the bad person for refusing to pay for my friend's meal after she invited me out for dinner? So, my friend, 29F, and I, 28M, went out for dinner the other night. She invited me out to this nice place, which was cool because we hadn't hung out in a while and I was really looking forward to catching up. When we got there, she ordered way more food and drinks than I did. I kept it light since I'm trying to save money, so I only ordered a main course and water. At the end of the meal, the waiter brought the check, and my friend looked at me and asked if I'd cover this one. I was kind of thrown off, especially since she invited me out. I told her that I wasn't planning on paying for both of us and reminded her that she was the one who suggested dinner. She got really upset and said she thought it was obvious she meant I should pay because I make more money than her. I do, but it's not by a huge margin, and I'm also trying to budget right now. She ended up paying for her share, but called me stingy and said I was being unfair. AITA for refusing to pay for her meal when she was the one who invited me out? You've sat down, you've listened. Now, it's time to state your ruling. What is it gonna be? Let us have it down in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more cases like these. In life, we may run, but we can never hide from true justice. Stay safe, everyone.